The bus hadn't moved in almost 20 minutes. People were yelling. Horns were blaring. Someone near the back of the bus was already late for work and practically screaming into their phone. And right in the middle of this massive city street sat one delivery truck. One guy. One unbelievably smug driver who thought the entire road belonged to him. If you've ever dealt with someone so arrogant that they made everyone around them miserable without a second thought, you're going to love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around, because this revenge was slow, personal, and absolutely worth every second. Full narrative expansion. It happened last week during rush hour. I was riding home on one of those giant city buses that already feels miserable before anything even goes wrong. The air conditioning barely worked. Every seat was full. People were packed shoulder to shoulder in the aisle. You could smell hot pavement and exhaust drifting through the cracked windows. Then suddenly, we stopped. At first nobody thought much of it. Traffic in the city is normal. But after a few minutes, people started looking around. The bus driver leaned forward in his seat, annoyed. Then I heard the first horn. Then another. Then 10 more. Drivers behind us started losing their minds. I looked out the window and finally saw the problem. A huge construction company truck had been parked directly in the ONLY driving lane on the street. Not partially blocking it. Not pulled off to the side. Completely blocking it. And standing beside the truck was this massive guy in a reflective vest, casually unloading equipment like he had all the time in the world. Meanwhile, traffic behind us stretched farther and farther down the road. The worst part? Our bus couldn't reroute. The streets nearby were too narrow for the driver to turn around. We were trapped. And this guy knew it. The bus driver finally opened his window and shouted, "Hey, you can't park there. You're blocking the whole street." The delivery driver didn't even look embarrassed. He just waved his hand dismissively and yelled back, "I'm making a delivery. I'm allowed." Allowed. That word hit everyone like gasoline on fire. A woman near the front snapped, "Allowed to make hundreds of people late." Someone else started clapping sarcastically. A resident from a nearby apartment building actually came outside and started arguing with him too. But the driver didn't care. Not even a little. He moved slowly, painfully slowly, like everyone else's time meant absolutely nothing. And sitting there on that overheated bus, sweat running down my neck while this guy acted like king of the city, something about it wasn't just inconvenience. It was the arrogance. That smug little attitude people get when they know nobody can really do anything to them. Eventually, after what felt like forever, he finished unloading, climbed back into the truck, and drove off like nothing happened. The entire bus groaned in relief as most people probably forgot about it within an hour. I didn't, because the more I thought about his face, the angrier I got. Not rage, not screaming anger, the quieter kind, the kind where your brain starts solving problems. I had noticed the company name on the truck, the truck ID number 2. At first, I considered calling the company and reporting him. But honestly, I knew exactly how that conversation would go. "Thanks for letting us know. We'll handle it internally." Nothing happens. No consequences. No lesson learned. And then I had an idea. A terrible idea. The kind of idea that makes you sit there grinning to yourself. So the next day, I bought a cheap burner phone. And then I called the company headquarters. The second someone answered, I switched into my best elderly man voice. Soft. Friendly. Harmless. I said, "Hello there. I think one of your drivers may have dropped a large amount of cash yesterday downtown. I'd really like to return it to him." Instant attention. The receptionist suddenly sounded very interested. She asked for the truck number, location, time, all of it. I gave every detail perfectly. You could practically hear the urgency spreading through the company. Because apparently the idea of a driver losing a huge amount of money was a much bigger concern than him blocking an entire city street. Funny how that works. About an hour later, my burner phone rang. It was him, the driver, and he sounded excited. Trying not to sound too excited, but definitely excited. "Hey man, thanks for calling about the cash." I almost lost it right there. This guy didn't even question it. Didn't ask what the money looked like. Didn't ask how much. Nothing. Just immediate greed. I told him I'd found around $1,800 near where he parked. There was a pause. Then he quietly said, yeah, that's probably mine. Of course it was. We arranged to meet later that afternoon in the city. Now here's the important detail. He lived and worked around 30 to 45 minutes away, which made this even better. I gave him the address of the recreation center down the block from my house, close enough for me to watch everything safely from my window. The entire afternoon felt like preparing for a movie scene. I made coffee, sat near the window, and waited. Right on time, a dark sedan pulled into the parking lot. There he was. Even from a distance, I recognized him instantly. Same angry posture, same heavy walk, same I own the world energy. He got out of the car and immediately checked his phone. Then he texted me, "I'm here." I smiled. Then I sent back, running a few minutes late, picking up a prescription. "Sorry." He waited. At first he seemed calm. He leaned against his car smoking cigarettes, probably already mentally spending money that had never existed. Maybe he imagined a weekend trip. Maybe paying bills. Maybe buying something stupid. Who knows? 25 minutes passed. Then I texted again. "So sorry. Inside the rec center now." He immediately got out and stormed inside. A few minutes later, my phone exploded with calls. I ignored every single one. Then I sent another message. "I saw you, but I'm on the other side of the building. I'm on crutches, so I move slow." That sent him marching back through the building again. At this point, I was struggling not to laugh loud enough for the neighbors to hear. You could see the frustration building in him. His shoulders got tighter. His walk got faster. He started throwing his arms around angrily while talking to himself. Another 10 minutes passed. More calls. More texts. Now he was furious. Finally, he stomped back toward his car, red-faced and swearing loudly enough that people in the parking lot started staring. That's when I called him. But this time, I used my real voice. He answered immediately. "What?" And calmly, very calmly, I said, "Sorry, man. Waiting sucks, doesn't it?" Silence. Then I continued. "Remember that delivery you made on ____ street Monday afternoon?" Nothing. I was on the bus you blocked for almost half an hour. You could practically hear the moment his stomach dropped. Then I delivered the final line. "Well, now you just spent your afternoon waiting for money that never existed. And by the way, I'm literally watching you from my house right now, you fat asshole." I watched him freeze. Actually freeze. Then his head whipped around wildly, trying to figure out where I was. Even from a distance, I could see his face turning bright red. Not embarrassed red. Humiliated red. The kind where someone realizes they've been completely played. Then came the explosion. "What the hell is wrong with you? You think this is funny? I'll find you." He started pacing in circles beside his car, screaming into the phone while I sat comfortably in my living room drinking coffee. And for the first time since that bus ride, I felt relaxed. Not because of the prank itself. Because for once, somebody who made hundreds of people miserable had finally experienced even a fraction of that frustration himself. I hung up. After that, he kept calling the burner phone over and over. Threats, insults, voicemails. I ignored them all. And just to make myself laugh over the next few days, I occasionally called him anonymously from random hotel lobby phones. Sometimes I'd leave a voicemail saying, "Hey buddy, just checking to make sure you're not blocking traffic today." Or, "Hope you didn't really need that 1800. Then I'd hang up smiling. Petty. Absolutely. Worth it. Every single second. Climactic revenge payoff. The image I still can't forget is the moment he realized the truth. That stunned silence. That instant where greed, arrogance, and humiliation all hit him at once. For nearly an hour, he wandered around that recreation center chasing imaginary money the same way hundreds of people had been trapped waiting on him. Except this time, he was the one powerless. He was the one wasting time. And knowing he drove nearly an hour for absolutely nothing made the entire revenge feel perfect. No property damage, No violence. No screaming match. Just pure psychological payback. Reflective wrap-up. Honestly, the whole experience reminded me how dangerous small amounts of power can be in the hands of arrogant people. Some people think rules stop applying to them the second they put on a company vest or sit behind a steering wheel. But eventually, karma catches up. Sometimes karma just happens to own a burner phone. If this story satisfied your inner revenge demon, hit that like button and subscribe for more unbelievable Reddit revenge stories. And tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest revenge you've ever seen someone pull off? Because honestly, I think this one's going to be hard to beat.